Thank you, Honourable Mr. Kasu. Honourable members, I will now give up opportunity for any questions on this particular report back on the matters arising. Honourable Manye.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On the issue of the, thank you very much, Mr. Kasu, with the comprehensive feedback. I wanted to just add a little bit of something, Chairperson, on the issue of ministers responding to questions. I think I want to propose that ministers must not delegate deputy ministers for a genuine reason. And the reason is this: deputy ministers don't attend cabinet. So a particular issue which might have been discussed at a cabinet committee level, it must still be escalated into cabinet. When it gets to cabinet, much more deeper discussion goes on, and more other views from other ministers get taken on board and all of that. So the depth of understanding on the particular issue that the minister has, the deputy minister has got no sight of that. Now, it's easy for the original question to be responded to because that can be prepared by officials and what have you. But when you've got four parties that on that same matter are going to drill down, then you need a semblance of a deep understanding of the issue. But if you're a deputy minister that has got only half the story, you are ill-prepared to do follow-up questions. So we end up with wishy-washy responses and all of that, and deputy ministers saying, no, this is not in my area and all of that when something is in their area. This is because they are ill-prepared to deal with things that are discussed at cabinet, which they don't attend. So I want to recommend strongly, Chair, that the issue of responses to ministers must only be responded to by, if a minister is not available, probably better another minister, because that other minister would have been in the cabinet, and they would then also have that collective responsibility as cabinet members, but not deputy ministers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Manye. Just perhaps to remind members that this matter has been referred to the subcommittee, the Rules Subcommittee, for a thorough investigation and to come with proposals. So I think that is where it will be addressed and where decisions will be made. But your point is taken. Thank you very much. Then I have Honourable Dlakudi.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I'm just checking because the last time we were here, if Mr. Kasu and the team would be able to brief us on the issue of the dome, because that was also going to assist with committee rooms. So we were told last time that DPW will be able to brief the meeting with regard to that, if they are available to assist.
Thank you, Honourable Dlakudi. Mr. Kasu, I don't know if you have any update on that.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the update we have is that we're still waiting on Public Works to present a comprehensive report on the matter. There is a commitment to convene a Chief Whips Forum meeting, special Chief Whips Forum meeting, once that report is available. So even if it's during the recess, the meeting could always be online if necessary. But a report will be given once Public Works has submitted their report.
Thank you. I then have Honourable Mente.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and good morning to all the colleagues. Deputy Speaker, let's appreciate that there's an undertaking that the rules will report, sub-rule committee will report in October, meaning which all the matters in particular that are relating to ministers not answering questions will be dealt with, as well as extending the time period within which questions are asked. But we need to also look into the advice that the Chief Whip of MK is putting across, because during member statements, we hear ministers responding on other sister departments, and they make a valuable input in some cases, and in some cases they waffle. But in a case where a deputy minister was not prepared at all to answer the question, they must just not say anything. But most importantly is the people who are presiding. They must be able to call off nonsense in the House, because we cannot allow people to degenerate to a level of just standing up and embarrass all of us as South Africans. To stand up and say, I am speaking on behalf of the executive, yet we do not have an answer. This goes to written questions as well, because the same cabinet minister from the same party, the Minister of Basic Education, Gwarube, received a written question about basic education transport of schools in the Eastern Cape that do not have transport at all in terms of the scholar transport for the children. And her response says, this is not within my competency, right to the legislature. What minister responds like that? The least a minister can do is to say, because I have a time period within which I have to respond to you as a member, please allow me to extend so that I can reach out to the province and understand what is going on, because this is the competency of basic education, irrespective of which province it's occurring in. You can't refer a member of parliament to the legislature. We are serving the people, therefore the minister must answer to the House and not refer members to elsewhere. So that also has to be looked into by the sub-rules, because now that's another tendency which the new ministers are coming up with. But secondly, on the issue of the dome, it's unacceptable that we will only convene when Public Works is available. Public Works have been knowing that they must prepare for the dome since the establishment of Parliament, because the first induction, we sat and had a special Chief Whips Forum where Public Works came to present the status of having Parliament in session with everyone inside. Public Works knew from that time, that was in June, that they must prepare the dome. And to date, we must be told we must wait for Public Works. It cannot be, it's not acceptable. Public Works, if they cannot do it, therefore, Parliament must bring back the marquee. And the excuse that the marquee is not safe is also very wrong and incorrect. A president of the country addresses Imbizo's meetings in marquees. So you are saying marquees are suitable for our general public. They are not suitable for us. How is a marquee not safe for members of parliament? When funerals, weddings, imigidi, everything happens in tents. That's not proper. And we should mind our language in terms of this comfort we want to create for ourselves and not lie. Because there's nothing wrong with a marquee. That marquee, we had not even a single person tripped over it. Not even a single person injured a toenail. Now we are told it's unsafe. So if we don't have a dome, the undertaking all of us we had, even in the Chiefs Forum and this programming, is that we are going to have a full-blown house sitting in October when we come back, and that must happen. We are not, this is the last programming committee we're having. We're not going to have another one until we come back on the 7th of October. And when we come back on the 7th of October, we need to sit in a full-blown House of Parliament with all members. This excuse of Public Works, we're not going to wait for it. Whether they are bringing the dome or not, the Secretary of Parliament must be ready. We need to have our Parliament operating. And then the last one, Chair, in terms of the matters arising, is the issue of the ad hoc committee in terms of the apartheid laws. We didn't get to understand where is the response in that, because there are two things that we have spoken about, the ad hoc committee and how we're going to go about it, which House Chair Frolik was seized with the matter. Then there is the second part of it, which is going to the executive, and the executive will take forever. They can even bring it back on the 5th year of this term, because we can't dictate to them, we can't tell them how to go about dealing with the matters of law. But us, it's our primary function. We can't sit here and not pass legislation and not correct the wrongs of apartheid. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Mente. Yes, in terms of the questions, that is a point well made, and that will be part of the subcommittee's discussions, most definitely. The question of the dome, I think, Mr. Kasu, we will just make sure that we do have a more up-to-date information regarding that, because the intention is that we have a dome when we start in the next term. And then the subcommittee, I don't know, Honourable Frolik, if you would like to comment on that.
Well, thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and good morning to the colleagues. The matter has been finalised from my side. I think Mr. Kasu just forgot to report on it. The proposal is in front of the Speaker for setting up a specific structure committee. It will then have to be discussed by the Chief Whips. Timeframes will have to be decided on, so that it can get the focus, the attention that it should have. I must mention, Deputy Speaker, I worked through those pieces of legislation. It's quite cumbersome, goes all over the place, and it would be better to have it at one center point to manage and report on the progress that will be made. So that is how far we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Frolik. Honourable Nklangwini.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, and I think in the last meeting, Mr. Kasu, I did request, when we are doing the matters arising, we must please do it maybe perhaps in a table form, because I think we are missing some of the matters arising, handling it in this manner, the way we are handling currently. There was also a matter brought by the Chief Whip of the EFF pertaining our motion on the closing of the Israel embassy, and I don't see it reflecting within these minutes. So I want to get an update on that one. And I think on the second one is maybe perhaps if we can also have the letter of the Speaker that you have sent to the Leader of Government Business. I think it's just, since we have raised it as members of Parliament, with the quality of questions and how questions are being dealt with by the ministers, that we are also taken into light with the letter that went to the Minister of to the Leader of Government Business, and the time frames and dates in terms of the feedback of this letter, because we have written a letter on the 27th of August on member statements and the minister's availability on member statements. And still there has been no response pertaining to that. A letter have also been sent to the Leader of Government Business. So I think it's also pertinent that when these letters are being sent, we also be taken on board as members of Parliament as to when is the feedback going to come back to our offices. And then the last one, I think I don't think you have handled it in your matters arising, Mr. Kasu, the one on the sectoral parliaments report. I think much more, the minutes is just saying work is being done regarding all the program, but I think we need much more in-depth response in terms of that. Yet again, time frames pertaining to these things. To just leave it open-ended like this, I think it will create some form of problems for us. And the Flood Committee as well, so that we can have time frames as to when is this committee is going to be established. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable Nklangwini. Just on the first matter, in terms of the Speaker's letter to the Leader of Government Business, I think that is a matter for the Speaker to decide to what extent she makes or circulates letters that she writes between her and the Leader of Government Business. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Kasu the matter of the embassy. I think that matter has been discussed.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The issue of the resolution of the House on the matter of the Israeli embassy, Speaker did respond to the Chief Whip of the EFF on the 5th of September. And she also indicated that between then and now, there had been about 2 questions to the executive from members of parliament, which were responded to, and also indicated that correspondence had been sent to the executive at the time. And Speaker, the current Speaker, has since also written to the minister, the current minister, about the matter, asking that Parliament be provided with progress reports on the issue. So the issue was dealt with. Again, on member statements, the EFF was responded to by the Deputy Speaker, and the executive was written to as well. And I think members would have observed that since then, there's been attendance of ministers in the House, and there have been responses to member statements. Let me see if there's anything else. That there was an issue, in case it's raised again, the issue about the procurement bill and regulations, just to indicate that the Treasury has issued an advisory note to say that the matter is being attended to. And I'm aware that the Speaker also intends to write to the Minister to ask that Parliament be kept updated on progress in relation to the regulations.
I think the matter of the sectoral
Yes.
parliaments.
House Chairperson Frolic would like to speak to that. Yeah.
Honourable Frolic.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The matter of sectoral parliaments, as I reported when their discussion took place, is one that is part of the strategic plan of the 7th Parliament, and those discussions are taking place tomorrow. There will be a political working group meeting to prioritize and to align all the discussions that took place last week. So it's certainly part of the strategic plan. And once the strategic plan is then finalized and adopted, we will proceed with the implementation.
Thank you, Honourable Frolic. Honourable Gwarube, then I'm going to back to Honourable Sithole.
Thank you,
Honourable Ntlangwini.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Thanks, Mr. Khosa, for your responses. I just want to indicate to this meeting that as the ANC, we have received a medical certificate of the Deputy President. He's off sick, as we all know. So some of the delays might be caused by that. He's not well, thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Gwarube. I have Honourable Sithole, Ntlangwini, Dagmore, Frolic.
Thank you very much, Deputy, and greeting to members. I'm trying to check, Honourable Chairperson, about the sitting of Women's Caucus and the scheduling of it, if there is any, because on the minutes it shows that there's some confusion that is happening in that caucus, if that one can be clarified. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Khosa. I don't know if you can reply to that one.
Chair, except to say that as soon as the caucus elects the chairpersons, the meetings of the caucus will meet. And beyond that, I don't have a report.
Thank you. Then Honourable Ntlangwini.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I think the problem that I having, maybe perhaps Mr. Klauso, is the fact that it's not reflected in the minutes that the Chief Whip raised the issue on the Israeli embassy. The only line there that is reflected, it's on mutual respect during proceedings of the House and presiding officers. Maybe perhaps I'm missing it somewhere in the minutes, but I don't see it reflecting in this minutes, and that is problematic. If it's reflecting, please just point it out to me. Where is it reflecting? Thank you.
Honourable Ntlangwini, before I give Mrs. Kasu the opportunity, we have already adopted the minutes, so we can't change that now, but I'm going to hand over to Mr. Kasu.
Thank you, ma'am. It's page 4 of the minutes, the third paragraph from the top. My version is page 4. Mr. Dlamini asked whether there was feedback on the resolution that the EFF moved in the Assembly. on the closure of the Israel embassy in the previous parliament and requested that the matter be revived. He said failure to do so could create an impression that Parliament, as a lawmaking body, did not follow up on the decisions it had taken. And this was followed up by a letter from the Chief Whip. Thank you.
Thank you. That matter is then resolved. Honourable Dugmore.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I think there has been information that a number of these issues related to questions are going to be dealt with by that subcommittee. And for instance, the example of what we had yesterday, where, you know, when a question is put to a minister and that minister feels that it is located somewhere else, there could even be a procedure to say that before it gets to the House, etc. So that will be dealt with. But I just want to raise a concern that I'm worried that, you know, there is an attempt to create an impression by some of the members that the executive is absent or unwilling. And I don't think that's the case. I think there's a fair issue that can be raised in regard to quality of responses, and those issues have been dealt with. And I think we must be very careful about creating the impression, because if one looks at all the minutes of who's been present and who's not been present, ministers have been present, and we clarified at the beginning that in a hybrid situation, some ministers would log in on a hybrid level. The second issue is, while we need to insist that the ministers are here, they answer questions and they ask the questions properly, we also have to, I believe, Deputy Speaker, ask our presiding officers to be willing to rule when members refer to ministers or deputy ministers or colleagues by their first names, refer to them, for instance, using the word bandit. So if we are not going to have consistent rulings by chairpersons or speakers or deputy or presiding officers, I think that we undermine the dignity of the House. So I'm saying we have to be robust in insisting that ministers be here. But I want to appeal through you, Chair, that we actually, even in this committee the other day when we were sitting here, which is an extension of Parliament, there were members simply referring to people by their first names. And I want to raise a concern about that and request that we have a consistent approach from our presiding officers when members do not respect the rules of this House.
Thank you, Honourable Dugmore. Indeed, I think this is a matter that as presiding officers, we will also discuss in terms of the rulings and the consistency of our rulings. It is also, of course, a matter that is dealt with by the Rules Committee. And your point is taken there on both sides. Honourable Frolick.